Definitely glad to be with all of you again. So, of course, we'll begin with our Mangala Charna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So once again, thank you for tolerating me, bearing with me, being here for another Ekadashi lecture. Today, we are going to be celebrating the Vaishnav Narahari Sarkar Thakur, which is quite a title, but it differentiates from Sri Narahari Chakravarti, who was the author of the great Vaishnav biography literature, Bhakti-Ratnakar. But Sri Narahari Sarkar Thakur was different. Predecessor of Narahari Chakravarti, and he was one of the famous Shrikandavasis. Now, we've spoken about these Shrikandavasis before. We hear about them in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. We hear about them in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shrikand is near Katwa, the place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. What I love is that illustrious devotees are shown and celebrated through many different ways. One of these ways is through the place that they come from. It is said that Shrikanda, because of all of the illustrious devotees that came from that place, was a place of pilgrimage non-different than Vaikuntha. Now, this is not Navadvip. We hear about Sridham Mayapur. We hear about Sridham Vrindavan. But Shrikanda became famous because of all of the devotees that came from that place. And so just imagine, in the future, when there are Vaishnav historians still recording all of these things, imagine the different yatras that will become famous because of all of the illustrious devotees who reside there. Imagine one day they speak about the New York Vasis who have done so much for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. Imagine that one day they'll speak about the New York Vasis who have done so much to just please Srila Prabhupada. This is the good fortune that awaits us if we give ourselves over fully to the task of somehow becoming Krishna conscious. Somehow something that is for our own good will immortalize us. We think, taking to this process of Krishna consciousness, really, it's to help us. It's to benefit us. But not only will it benefit us, everyone is looking for that place to become immortal, that place to become famous. And devotional service is that place, undoubtedly. And I feel as though Narahari Thakur's life exemplifies that, how service can make us immortal. So I feel as though it is our responsibility not only to take to Krishna consciousness, but then to uphold this tradition of honoring Vaishnavas, both those who have gone and those who are still around. It is important that we chronicle our own lives and the lives of others, because when miracles happen, they might not always seem so overt. They might seem small. They might seem so tiny. They might seem like these are the kinds of miracles that only make a difference in our lives. How would they possibly make a difference in the lives of others? But that's not true. Without our second Narahari Chakravarti, who was chronicling the lives of great Vaishnavas in Bhakti Ratnakar, we wouldn't even know. How would we have the treasure trove? Bhakti Ratnakar, in fact, means the jewel-filled ocean of devotional service. This is the pastimes of devotees. They are a jewel-filled ocean of devotional service. So how would we even know without them? Without them noting down all of these things, how would we know? So we might not think our lives are filled with miracles, but we should write down what happens in our lives anyway. These things should be saved. So many illustrious devotees came from Srikhanda, and we've spoken about many of them. There was, of course, Narahari Sarkar's father, Narayan Das, and he was a great Vaishnav. And he had 3 sons, the eldest of which was Mukunda. Now, Mukunda, we wind up hearing about throughout Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mukunda had a son named Raghunandan Thakur. We have spoken about this Raghunandan Thakur because Raghunandan Thakur, when he was a boy, was told by his father, Mukunda, because they were all a family of doctors, Vedyas. And so Srikhanda was a place where there were quite a lot of doctors. And so Mukunda had to go away on business. He had to go see some patients in a far off place, and he wouldn't be home. And he told his son, you please go to our Gopal deity. You please make all of the arrangements so that Gopal eats nicely, and make sure that the deity eats. So Raghunandan Thakur, as such a young boy, took these instructions sincerely to heart. And so he demanded that the deity eat. And when he did not see the deity move, he began to cry piteously until the deity's heart was melted so much that the deity was forced to take his meal in front of the child. And this happened once again. And finally, the parents came and they were wondering, where is the Mahaprasad from our deity? Did you eat it? What happened? Raghunandan was saying, no, Gopal ate it. You told me to make sure that he was eating, so I made sure. The parents were stunned. They requested that the child please try again, do this again. And as they watched, they saw the deity eat 1/2 of a laddu. And when the deity ate 1/2 of this laddu, they were absolutely baffled. So this is now Raghunandan Thakur, who is the nephew of Narahari Sarkar. So Mukunda is the elder brother. In due course of time, Narayan Das eventually leaves this earth, as well as the mother of Narahari Sarkar also leaves this earth. And Mukunda kind of takes over the family duties and responsibilities. And at this point, he sends Narahari Sarkar to Navadvip to become very, very learned. Navadvip was a seat of learning of all kinds, all throughout the lands. And so many people were sending their children there to learn vital, vital things. This became a blessing for Narahari Sarkar, of course, because if we know anything about Navadvip, not only was it a seat of learning, but this is where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was. And so it was that Narahari Sarkar began to learn and go to school in Navadvip. He became, it says, an expert in music, dance, and poetry, all of which he also became an expert in how to use in devotional service. And so with his music and composition, he would write wonderful songs about the divine couple, even before coming in contact with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With his dancing, later, he would serve by being one of the main dancers in one of the kirtan parties set up by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Rath Yatra celebration. So as they had this festival, Narahari Sarkar would become one of the main dancers, would dance in front of the cart of Lord Jagannath. What an invaluable service. Sometimes we think, what really are we doing? How much will I be able to use my schooling in the service of Krishna? But here, everything is vital. Every single service is important. So just when we think that, how could this possibly be used in Krishna's service? Krishna comes up with a way. So we should never discount ourselves from being able to serve Krishna. Never, ever. There is no service that is too small to be appreciated by Krishna. So he learned all of these things. He also became very, very close with one very, very special and important devotee by the name of Gadadhar Pandit. So he became very close with Gadadhar Pandit, which then in turn helped him become very close with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So our association is key. Our association is everything. He actually, Narahari Sarkar winds up receiving an instruction from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And my dear Vaishnav historian teacher and Uncle Chadaratma Prabhu gives a wonderful, lively lecture on the life and pastimes of Narahari Sarkar. And he makes a point to say, wouldn't we all like to get a specific instruction? Aren't we all like yearning for that? We're all yearning, like, what's my thing? You know, what's my instruction? So Narahari Sarkar receives a very specific instruction from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That instruction is simple. It is simply this: to always stay in the association of devotees. That was his instruction for service. Always stay in the association of devotees. So we can see how important and vital our association is. I think sometimes we can underestimate this service and how key it is in shaping and forming our spiritual lives. But this is the instruction that was given to Sri Narahari Sarkar as the goal of his life. So he tried all throughout his life to stay within the association of great devotees. If we do nothing else but this, it is enough. If we do nothing else but enable other devotees to come together and have associations and sanghas just like this one, it is enough. Sometimes we can wonder, am I doing enough for Krishna? Is my service enough? Is this enough service? It is enough. It will always be enough. So he became very close to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was one of the only devotees who enjoyed the privilege, the pleasure, the right, the adhikar to perform Gora Kirtan in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He would write some songs in praise of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Usually, if anyone praised Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna himself, he would block his ears and say, Vishnu, Vishnu. He would immediately threaten to leave that place for forever. But Narahari Sarkar had melted the Lord's heart so much that he was able to not only compose songs about the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but sing them for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in front of Gauranga. This is unprecedented. What kind of service gives someone the pleasure of receiving this kind of benediction? Well, one of his services, as extolled and immortalized forever within Bhaktivinoda Thakur's beautiful bhajan, Gora Arti, was simply waving a chamara fan, sometimes a peacock fan. He would fan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we hear it. Narahari Adi Kori Chamara Dulaya. Sometimes when we are singing Gora Arti, it almost becomes a list of names. But each one of these names is a key player in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, forever immortalized. One small service, fanning the Lord, has become immortalized throughout the rest of time, to be sung about every day. We are all looking for ways to live forever. Service to Krishna enables us to live forever. And no service is too small. Just imagine, I don't think anyone thinks at the time that they're doing any kind of service that I will be forever known as one who will fan my Lord. No one thinks I will be forever known as one who would polish my Lord's paraphernalia and utensils. No one thinks I will be forever known as that person who would just purchase beautiful necklaces or bracelets, jewelry from my Lord. But this is how we become immortal. This is how we please the Lord so much that we can gain the benediction of forever being counted among the Lord's most choicest, most dear associates. So we hear once Narahari Sarkar was in Shrikanda, and so many of the other devotees were visiting Shrikanda, and in walks, strides like a powerful lion, like an intoxicated elephant. In comes Sri Nityananda Prabhu, our wonderful Avadut. He comes up to Narahari Sarkar and he says, "So, we all know who you are. And so I have one question." Nityananda Prabhu glances around. He says, "So, where's the honey, Madhu?" Some of the devotees were a little bit perplexed. What is Nityananda Prabhu speaking about? Well, from Gaura Ganadesh Dipika, we hear Pura Madhumati Prana Shaki Brindavane Stita Aduna Naraharyakya Sarakara Prabhopriya. Srimati Radharani's most intimate dear friend, the Braja Gopi named Madhumati Devi, appeared as Narahari Sarkar, who was very dear to Lord Chaitanya. Narahari Sarkar as this Madhumati Gopi's wonderful service was to bring honey to the divine couple and all of their associates. Madhu actually means sweet, like honey. And so Madhumati Gopi's service was to bring this honey to the divine couple. Srila Nityananda Prabhu as Adi Guru, he knows everything. And so he asks playfully, "So where's the honey?" Which just goes to show that our service is never ever forgotten. Not by Guru, not by Krishna. Not only will our service be forever immortalized by other Vaishnavas, but our service is never ever forgotten by Krishna. Here we have Srila Nityananda Prabhu asking, "So where's the honey?" So what does Narahari Sarkar do? He goes to a nearby pond and he fills a jug with water. And that jug that was filled with water immediately turns into the most sweet nectarian honey that he brings to Gaur-Nitai and all of their associates. And they drink it until they are completely filled to the brim, their hearts filled with satisfaction. And so this Madhumati Gopi continues this wonderful service. This is what happens when we serve Krishna. Miracles. Those miracles are available to us at any moment once we give ourselves over to that devotional service. These are the wonderful lessons of Narahari Sarkar. No service is too humble. No service is too small. We might think, what's my thing? But that thing that we do with all of our hearts, dedicating our actions to Mahaprabhu, to the pleasure of the divine couple, that's enough. It doesn't have to be something big, grandiose. Something as simple as fanning the Lord, a bringer of honey. Forever and ever and ever remembered by the devotees and dear to Krishna. They say that this Madhumati Gopi was a favorite of Srimati Radharani. Why? Just for bringing honey? That's it. That's all we need. Our service and the association of devotees. Now, Narahari Sarkar is also immortalized because of one of his disciples. Not just one, he had many, but one illustrious disciple was Sri Lochan Das Thakur, the great author of Sri Chaitanya Mangala. And so not only can we become immortalized by our specific service, not only can we be immortalized by the place in which we reside, but we can become immortalized just by being wonderful disciples. Imagine how much glory we bring to this Krishna consciousness movement just by being wonderful disciples. There are so many ways to make Krishna proud of us. Unlimited ways to make Krishna happy. And so just when we think, well, what if I don't have a temple? What if I don't have a specific service? What if I don't? Just be a good disciple. Chanting the holy name, taking shelter of Krishna. That is enough. That's it. We can reach the goal. Any one of these things is enough. It is often said, any one of the 9 processes of bhakti is enough to bring us the goal and perfection of our lives. So we can become perfect hearers. We can become perfect listeners. We can become perfect chanters. We can become perfect rememberers. Simply just becoming perfect by remembering the pastimes of our dearest friend. Which we might think, yeah, and that's for my own benefit. And yet, and still, it can bring us all perfection. It will forever immortalize us within the great assembly of Vaishnavas when they talk about it throughout the rest of history. There were wonderful devotees from yatras all around this world. She can be made happy again. We often hear that she is saddened after the loss of the direct footprints of Sri Krishna. After the loss of the footprints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now what will she do? But now she can be made happy again. Because assemblies of Vaishnavas pop up all over the face of the globe. And in those places, Krishna is personally present once again. So we bring glory to where we reside. We make it into a place of pilgrimage. Our service brings glory to our families. Our service brings glory to our gurus. Our service brings glory to the earth itself. Never should we take our service for granted, nor should we think it is too small to be acknowledged or recognized. This service is the crest jewel of our entire lives. So thank you so much for bearing with me and allowing me to come and do another service. I simply hope that it brings joy to the hearts of the devotees, my Guru Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Acyuta Gopi. Very encouraging class. Thank you so much. Okay, questions? Temple room. You have questions? Adipurusha Prabhu. You are muted, Adipurusha Prabhu.
Listening to this,
Adipurusha Prabhu will be followed by Jamuna Jaya. Go ahead, Adipurusha Prabhu.
we're listening to this pastime of Krishna appearing as the cowherd boys and calves after Lord Rama stole the whole gang. And then how the cows were attracted to those particular calves, and the parents were all super attracted to their children. And we were trying to figure out what is it about Krishna that made them so attracted.
That's a question. Adi Prabhu.
There's his curly hair. The calves had nice fur. What? And I was thinking, what really? I remember like seeing Srila Prabhupada, and I was thinking, when I first saw his picture, he looks very dignified, very regal, very, aristocratic. And I was thinking maybe he might be proud. When I first looked in Srila Prabhupada's eyes, I saw this is not only that this is a very humble person, but this person loves me. How can he love me? I mean, who am I? Nothing. So I was thinking that the attractive feature that drew them so powerfully to Krishna was the fact that he had the calves had such love for them. They weren't really the calves. It was Krishna. He was showing his love for the cows, and the children were showing their love for the parents, and they found that reciprocal. Yesterday we were in the car. Going over to do Krishna's prasad distribution, and one of the devotees here, her mother, she was on the phone with her mother from China. It's like 13,000 miles away, right? And the mother was calling out the daughter's name. I could see, this is like a little piece of plastic in my hand, and she's 13,000 miles away, but I could just feel that affection, that deep, sincere love for the daughter. I almost burst into tears to see that, that capacity that we all have, that we've forgotten that we're actually loving beings.
Gaur Govinda Maharaj often says that Krishna's unique beauty is actually sometimes not even within Krishna. Krishna's unique beauty resides within the heart of each and every devotee looking at Krishna. So what is the beauty that is attracting all of these souls to Krishna, thinking he's just, this is my child. I need this. I need him to be my child. I need to give him all of my love. It actually springs from the heart of the beholder, which I thought, what an incredible potency. What an incredible gift that Krishna's beauty technically is not actually with him. It's with us. So it's a question of like, are we seeing it? Are we tapping into it?
I'm looking at Jeffrey Eckler, and I definitely see Krishna's beauty in him. I want him to be my son. Jamuna Jaya, Ananda Manjari, Krishna Kumari. We can go over time. It's Saturday, and we're beyond rules and regulations. So let's go. Unmute yourself. Jamuna Jaya, yes.
All right, Lord Krishna, I'm one floor below you because I just set up something in the yoga studio, but I just thank you for class. Acyuta Gopi is always so encouraging, so wonderful. But it's funny, as you were talking about no service too small, I'm down here setting up and I hear this clank, clank, and there's our lead who cleans up the Bhakti Center so beautifully. And there he is mopping while listening to bhajans and listening to class. And no one knows that he does it. Hardly anyone knows that he sees it. But we would know, and this is something Ananda Manjari told me once about something I do, said, people may not notice it, but people will notice if you don't do it. And as I was listening to his mop and is doing that small service, scrubbing out the toilets, like that service Krishna sees and loves, and no one knows because he's here when other people see. So it was just such a beautiful thing to hear that and hear you speak of this at no service. And that for me, his service will be immortalized in my heart forever. So thank you.
This is the beauty of community, isn't it? When we think no one knows, there's always somebody who knows. And we normally only think of that in terms of like our poor deeds, like, oh, Krishna's always watching. But that goes for our illustrious activities also. Someone always knows. And there are so many places within the Sringa Purana and other Puranas that speak about the glorious benedictions that come from one simply sweeping the temple of the Lord. What to speak of cleaning out so many of the different facilities for the devotees. We have so many Vaishnavacharyas who were only able to achieve their guru by going and cleaning the place where the guru was passing, etc. Now imagine, for all of the illustrious Vaishnavas, this is something which gives the jewel of all perfection of life. Ayendra Prabhu used to do the same. He would go and clean out the toilets. He said it would keep his bhajan nice and in perspective. So there are the devotees that we look up to that would willingly take on these services as the ones that they would decide to hold most dear. It's amazing, these small services keep us humble. But Krishna then decides to just lift us up higher than we could have ever imagined.
Yeah, Krishna is in the heart. And when we're cleaning the bathroom, Krishna is in the bathroom.
It's true. He sees
Very,
you.
very
He
intimate
sees you
jewel.
when you're cleaning.
Yeah. Who's next? Unmute yourself. Krishna Kumari, would you like to go next? Senior Lunsford, what was your doubt that Acyuta Gopi helped you with?
Hi, Krishna. I was having trouble there. I have a question, something that is troubling me. I feel like for Prabhupada, the devotees just went out on a limb, like limb after limb after limb, and so much beauty came and is still here because of that. And I'm feeling now in present day, when I'm excited about a service, I kind of get like, you're going to shoot your eye out, or like all this caution, like that it almost, I don't know. Anyway, if I feel, I'm just wondering what's different, and how can I go out on limbs for Krishna?
I think, well, what I'm hearing is when you want to take a risk for a service and when you want to go out on a limb, you feel almost discouraged by the amount of caution that others are projecting onto you. That, be careful. But sometimes we can see that as other people's love and fear for you and fear for themselves. Sometimes if other people are not ready to undertake a certain risk, or they wouldn't be able to even, stand up for a certain cause, where it's like, oh, well, you're gonna, I wouldn't say that because there would be so much backlash. Jay. And so sometimes we can think, well, does that mean I shouldn't say it? It means we have to assess what our personal boundaries are and how much we can take. But we tend to think, oh, these devotees went out and they went out on a limb for Srila Prabhupada. They went out on a limb for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this kind of caution didn't take place then, but it did. In fact, they told Srila Prabhupada, don't even go to America. You're going to die. Don't take that risk. Why would you go to America for these people? They're not even going to understand Krishna consciousness properly. They won't dress properly. They won't eat properly. They won't speak it properly. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, don't go chanting in the streets. You're an abomination. Shamananda Pandit, don't go over there and have a new name and a new tilak and a new everything. What do you think you're doing? Just follow the straight and narrow. Don't deviate from the road. But all of our revolutionaries went out on a limb. So there was a lot of discouraging cautionary tales coming from everywhere. The cautionary tales come. That's normal. Sometimes I try and think of it as loving sentiments from other devotees. And then you have to check in with yourself, check in with Guru, Chaitya Guru, outside Guru, inside and outside, but check in with yourself and see what your limitations are. And then if you really still feel empowered, check in with Krishna and then do what you've got to do. Try your best. As my Guru Maharaj always likes to say, just try your best. But it's not that the discouraging caution wasn't there. It was. Sometimes people just did it anyway. I hope that helped.
Beautiful. Ananda Manjari?
And so that's a really like full circle moment for me, because I feel like at 7 and 8 and 9, when I had questions, I had to ask them to Krishna Kumari because she was my Sunday school teacher.
Jai.
that was a full circle moment.
Thank you for sharing that. That actually brings a lot of sweetness to me to even know that, because I would never know it.
See, no server's too small.
Yeah, I wanted, this is not a question, it's more of just wanting to share a heart reaction. I so appreciated you bringing the image of Narahari Sarkar transforming water into honey, and also, you know, the comment of Nityananda Prabhu, and you know, just how small things like this actually bring out entire pastimes. And I couldn't help but be reminded of pastimes of Lord Jesus transforming water into wine. And then I was also reminded of the class that my friend sent me some time ago and I heard yesterday. And it was also speaking how in many spiritual traditions, when we go deeper and it becomes more esoteric, there is often the image coming of two lovers trying to meet in a forest, which essentially, you know, obviously relates to Radha and Krishna trying to come together, and how ultimately our goal is to somehow serve in their union, and yeah, serve in them coming together. And so I'm just having this small reminder of like, oh yeah, it feels so home to be reminded of something that I connect with from my Christian spiritual upbringing, and also a reminder how bhakti contains it all, and how it's just so beautifully reflected in all their traditions. So just saying that, thank you so much.
I like that. I feel like I want to take that away for the rest of my day myself. Like, bhakti contains it all. Sometimes we think about bhakti as one thing in this one small box. But bhakti simply means devotion for God, an overwhelming, all-encompassing devotion. And that is everywhere. So thank you.
Bhakti contains it all. Bhakti even turns water into wine. But let's be careful with that. Let's not imitate. Yes. Bhima Prabhu, your turn.
Haribo Acyuta Gopi Maharaj. Maharajini. Wonderful class. Love the storytelling. I just wanted to say that I was much encouraged by your reminder that no service is too small. Every morning I get up, especially in winter, and I check my ahimsa cages for mice that are, because I live on a farm, and the mice want to move in. So every morning I have mice, and I, as Ananda Bihari calls them, hamsters, and I put the cage next to my seat, and I chant my rounds with them there loud and sing to them. And I try to sing as close as I can to Acyuta Gopi. I try to sing just like her, full of blues, resonant blues. And then I take them deep into the woods, across a stream, so they can't paddle their way back to the house. And I let these future bhaktas go. And just when I was doing that, she was saying, "There's no service too small." And when I opened the cage, 3 little mice go scurrying out, hopefully with the sound of the Maha Mantra in their little mice hearts. So thank you very much for the encouragement. Hare Krishna.
See, now that's one thing. You know, for the past few days, what was it? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're on day 4. There happens to be a little bhakta mouse that I have been trying to locate. And this devotee is so adamant about staying in my apartment, which is not on a farm. So every so often, every like 4 or 5 years, this happens. But so this little bhakta refuses to be caught. But I didn't sing yet. I prayed to the Paramatma in the bhakta's heart. I was like, look, we need to guide this bhakta out. Prayed to Lord Ganesh, please, Lord Ganesh, please also guide your devotee out. And still nothing, but I didn't sing yet. So maybe I need to follow your example, Bhima Prabhu. Because this mouse has decided that its one safe spot is underneath my altar. It refuses to move. It's like, but there's not even any food under there. Just refuses. It's going to take shelter of Krishna. So, I mean, I got it. I understand. I understood already. But I think, you know, maybe I'll have to go and have a little bhajan session.
Be sure to put some peanut butter prasad in a little ahimsa trap. They have them on Amazon. They just go in and touch the peanut butter, and next thing you know, they got their own little habit trail there. And you can keep them, or you can truck them 3.5 miles away, because apparently, and especially with you, that mouse will probably try to find his way back for 3.5 miles. It'd be like a Disney movie.
Or I'm also trying to find us. I was just trying to find Krishna. So why did they oust me?
That's right, right. The great mouse detective finding his way back to Acyuta Devi's altar with the great rescue of peanut butter prasad. Wonderful. Hare Krishna. I am rooting for the mouse to always stay underneath your altar. I offer him my blessings.
Exactly.
Hare Krishna.
Bhima, I've upgraded. I have made my own ahimsa pails because I live in a farmhouse with spinning peanut butter. So I can try to catch 2 or 3 at a time.
My goodness.
Yeah, pails are great. It's like the Sankirtan. It's like the Murdunga of mouse traps. They just fall. They just fall in, and they can't scurry out. And then you just go and place them at somebody else's farm. That's what I do. I find
That's what I do over the river.
Because I refuse to let them go in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, there's a good house. I bet you they got lots of food.
Somebody else's farm. Someone else's farm.
I hope there are devotees too.
Yeah, devotees are related to this mice pastimes. Jagiridari is texting me.
Nimai and the Mouse, Chota, Satsurt Maj's book. I read them to my children, but they're for adults and new devotees. It gives you some insight into ashram life. And the mouse travels to South America and goes on padayatra.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no devotees too furry. No devotees too hairy.
That's right. No service is too small. No devotees too small.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much, dear devotees.
Right.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Acyuta Gopi Maharajini ki jai. Thank you very much.
Maharajini is actually the sweetest I've ever heard.
Yeah. It's Bhima Prabhu's creativity in play. Okay. Thank you very much. It was nice spending this morning hours with you, dear devotees. There's nothing better than our service and devotees association. That's all we need. That's my takeaway. Thank you very much. Very happy to see you smiling, enjoying Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness never stops. Come back tomorrow. We're here, not going anywhere. Hare Krishna. Kirtan is our home address.